Hello students, welcome back to my channel. Let us continue learning structured query language. In the previous two sessions, that is session 5 and session 6, we have completed learning primary key constraint as well as foreign key constraints. In today's session, we will be covering 3 more constraints, which are not null constraint, unique constraints, and also check constraints. So let us start with not null constraint. So what exactly is this constraint? So this constraint ensures that all rows in the table contain a definite value for the column which is specified as not null, which means to say that while creating a table, I can say that for a particular attribute, for a particular column in a table, I can say that this particular column cannot have null values. Okay, that constraint I'm putting that you cannot enter a null value into this particular column. So that is what it is called as a not null constraint. So which means all null values is not allowed. For example, to create an employee table with null value, the query would be like this. So here I'm creating a table using a create table employee. Okay. I'm taking ID, which is of type number, name as character. Okay. And constraint. So as you can see, how I can do is I will declare the name of the attribute, then the data type, then I will mention the keyword constraint. This is in order to give a name. Okay. You can also directly give without this also it is fine. If you do not want to give a name, then directly you can write not null. That is also fine. So when I say that, it means that for this particular variable, you cannot have, for this particular attribute or a column, you cannot have null values entered. Okay. And rest all remains same as we have discussed before. I hope this is clear. So we will create a table and we'll try to insert a value with null and we will see how it is going to work. Okay. The next set of constraints, what we will be learning is unique key constraint. So what is this unique? So as the name says, unique is nothing, but we cannot have repeated values or we should have a individual value. Okay. So in a column, in a table, if I am declaring any particular column as unique, which means you cannot have same values repeated once again. That is the unique key constraint. So this constraint ensures that a column or a group of columns in each row have distinct value. Distinct means you should not have repetitive. A columns can have null value, but the values cannot be duplicated. So remember, when I say unique, it means that it can have null value, but it shouldn't be repeated. Now you can have both these constraints on a single column. That is also fine. You can put a constraint on a single column saying that it cannot be null as well as unique. That is also possible. And we also have something called as a primary key, which is nothing but a combination of your not null constraint as well as your unique key constraint. This we have already discussed in the previous sessions. Okay, primary key is a combination of not null constraint and unique constraint. But if you are individually seeing, not null is not equal to unique. Unique is entirely different and not null is entirely different. Okay. So if I want to define a unique at a column level, then what will I do? After declaration of that particular attribute, I will write the keyword constraint. Then I will give a name and then I'll mention unique. If at all I want to declare it at the table level, I will declare all the columns. That is column 1, data type, column 2, data type. And after mentioning all the columns, then at the end, I will mention the constraint name, the keyword unique, and the column name for which I'm applying this unique. So this column level and table level declaration of the constraints, we have already discussed several times. I think it should be clear to you by now. Okay, if not, I kindly request you to go back to the previous sessions and go through those where I have practically implemented those and I have shown it. Okay, now example for unique at a column level. So how can I declare at a column level? So I have created the table employee ID number. So here I have mentioned unique. So when I do that immediately after the declaration of a particular attribute, then I will call it as a column level. Wherein which here at the table level, what I have done is I have declared ID, name, department, age, salary. That is after declaring all the attributes, including city. At the end, I have mentioned the unique attribute. That is unique constraint. And I mentioned that which is the attribute for which I'm applying the unique constraint. So this is nothing but our table level. Okay. This another example you can see here. What I have done is I have used the name for that particular unique key. That is constraint. UNID is the name I have given for this particular constraint and unique ID. So this is optional. But this is required in case if you want to drop this particular constraint in the future, then it is always suggested you to give the name. Okay. So names are suggested if at all you want it to be removed in the future. So this is your column level as well as table level declaration of the unique constraint. Next comes is your check constraint. So what is this check constraint? This constraint defines a business rule on a column. Okay. Once again, all these constraints we are applying on a column. For example, for this particular column, I want certain rule. For example, salary cannot be less than 20,000. If I want to apply that rule, then I will apply this particular rule using a check constraint. Okay. So all the rows must satisfy this rule. So if at all I'm applying this it on a column, so whatever the column I'm going on inserting inside the table, this particular constraint has to be checked. The constraint can be applied for a single column or a group of columns. Once again, it can be added to many columns also. So once again, check constraint is, I will write constraint name, the keyword check, and the column for which I will be putting. Also the condition, for example, salary less than 20,000, age should be greater than 18. All these are the different conditions depending on what is your requirement will be mentioned inside the bracket. Right? So see here the column level as well as the table level. Here I have created the table employee, ID, name, character, department. Here I'm putting this check constraint. I have declared age, data type, then check, and then I have mentioned the age is greater than or equal to 18. Here, since it is an employee, I want all my employees to be greater than or equal to 18 years of age. So this I have applied at the column level. Suppose I want to apply it at the table level. That is after declaring ID, name, department, age, salary, city, and everything. I will just simply apply check age is greater than 18. I will write the column name over here and then I will make it as greater than or equal to 18. Suppose I want to put this on a salary, then I will say salary. I can just mention add and salary should be greater than 20,000. So this is how I will put the constraint. So here on the left-hand side of this particular comparison operator, I will have the respective column names and the condition will be mentioned inside the parenthesis after writing the keyword check. Right? So this is how we will use these three constraints. Now let us together see how this constraint can be worked. Okay, so what we will do is we will create one table which will have all these three constraints and we will try to insert the value and see what all the errors we are getting and how it is checking, doing the constraint violations happens and how we can overcome that, right? Let us go to SQL. Let's connect. ID password. Now we are connected. So let us create a table. Create table. I want to create, let me write it in small letters. I want to create a table employee. Okay, so we had created in the previous sessions, but I have dropped all those tables and we are starting fresh. Okay, so create table employee. So I will keep it very simple. I will create only three attributes, which all the three of them will have three constraints, whatever we have studied. First one is ID. Okay, I will keep it as number. I will give not null constraint over here. Okay, so you can either write it in capital or small, anything is fine. Okay, I will make it not null. Next, I will take department. Okay, for this, I will give unique, which means that I cannot have a repeated values, right? Next, I will take age. So let's give a check constraint for this. Check age should be greater than equal to 18. Okay, a table is created. Let's describe our employee table. Okay, so we have not null constraint for ID. Let us try to insert the values. Insert into employee values. So first we need is ID. ID is a number type. So I will give 1000 as an ID. comma, department I will give HR, comma, age, let me give. Now let us try with the age. What happens if I give 11 years as a age? Okay. Check constraint violated. As you can see, the error I'm getting is check constraint violated. That is because I've given age as 11, wherein which we had clearly told while creating the table that age should be greater than or equal to 18. Okay, let me change this and make it 18. Yes, our row is created. Okay, let us see the table. Select star from employee. Okay, this is our table. Let us go on adding values, more values. Insert. Now let us check our not null constraint. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add the value null over here, and HR I will remove and I will make it IT. Okay. Age, let me change it to 28. Let us try to enter. Remember, for ID, we had given not null constraint, but I'm trying to enter a null value over here. See, we will see what kind of error we will get. Cannot insert null into system.employee.id. So it is telling me exactly that inside the system database, inside that which I have an employee table, under the employee table for ID, I cannot insert a null value. So it is clearly telling me that I cannot enter. So let me give some other value. Okay. Let us see if I'm repeating the value, will it give any problem? I have already ID as 1000. So let me just give the same value. It is allowing, because remember, we have not given unique. We have given only not null. Apart from null, it will take any value, okay, without any problem. Now let us check for department, for which we had given the constraint of unique. Unique is nothing but you cannot repeat it. Distinct value should be there. Okay. So let me make it 38. IT, we have already, okay, let us just, okay, we have already entered IT here, students. Insert into employee, IT is already entered. So basically we have two rows. As of now, I have not showed you, but we have two rows. Let us just enter once again IT and see what error we are going to get. Unique constraint violated. As expected, it is saying that unique constraint is violated. That is because we have in our employee already in the department, we had HR and IT. So since we have given unique, it has to be unique names. We cannot have once again IT. Let me just change. Let us try and see if I can give null value for unique. Okay, let me change this. Yes, it is allowing me without any issues. So null is allowed. Let us see if I can give once again null. Yes. So null, how much ever time you want to give, it is allowing you, but the values, whatever given, cannot be repeated. Plus for age also, you can repeat the value, how much ever time. For example, 18 was already there. I can once again enter this without any issues. Okay. So the same values, once again, I will enter, it will not create any problem. That is, why do you think so? That is because, see here, these are this last two rows which are there, which I am repeating it, but yet it is not giving me any error. That is because for ID, we don't have a unique constraint. We have unique constraint only for department, but I'm giving here null values. Null values, it is accepting as much as you want, you can give. Once again, for age, the only constraint is it should not be less than 18. Apart from that, you can repeat the value. It is not giving any errors. Okay, I hope this is clear. So these are the three constraints which we will be using in future whenever we require, for example, if we want to create a table, depending on the scenario, we can apply these kinds of a constraint. So totally we have studied 5 constraints. Those are mainly primary constraint, foreign key constraint, unique key constraint, not null constraint, and check constraint, right? So that's all in today's session, students. Thank you for watching. Keep learning.